Ask any racer, any real racer. It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
And welcome to another episode of Who Do You Think You Are? I Am, episode 2. It is Cenz alongside co-host Puma, back at you on Super Bowl Sunday. How you feeling today?
I feel good. You know, it's another episode. We got a lot of good positive review from the first one, so, you know, everything's good. Everything's good. Looking forward to the Super Bowl.
You. Me. I've been waiting for this day for 17 years.
Yeah.
17?
Mm-hmm.
When, it's kind of, I talked about this last week, how it's now full circle. Rams, last time they were in the Super Bowl was 2002 against Tom Brady and the Patriots. And here we are again, 17 years later. What has happened in the last 17 years in our lives? Let's see. We were
6th grade.
11. We were 11 years old. Man, I don't even know what the fuck was going on then. But what I do know is that the Rams lost to Tom Brady, came out, and his legacy began right there. But as I've been saying, I think it's time for a passing of the torch. And I think the new youth is going to take over this one, and Tom Brady will be on his way out. Well, he says he's not out. He's talking all this shit, you know. We're still here. We're still here. And when someone asks him, a reporter, oh, so how many more, what's the percentage chance that you're going to retire after this year? And he goes with this big fat 0%. But I think that if he gets his ass beat today, maybe he'll reconsider.
Well, the interesting thing is that when they met in the Super Bowl that so long ago, you know, the roles were reversed. You looked at a team in the Rams that were considered the old guard. They were there. They made a Super Bowl before. You know, they beat who'd they beat in the Super Bowl?
Who? The Rams?
The Rams back
before then?
Yeah.
99?
Mm-hmm.
Titans.
The Titans. They beat the Titans on a last-minute play at a goal line stand. You know, it was an inch away from going the other way. But you had guys like Warner, Falk, Holt, you know, the Isaac Bruce, you know, these old guard type of players.
The
now
greatest show on turf, baby.
The greatest show on turf. Now you look at it now, it's the young team is the Rams with Goff and Gurley and Donald and Woods and Kupp, even though Kupp's not playing, compared to the old guard now, which has been the class of the league, unfortunately, in the New England Patriots with Tom Brady. You know, so I can really see it being a passing of the torch. I can really see us talking about maybe a new dynasty with the Rams. They have the future. They have the young coach. And it's very eerily similar, in my view. But let's talk about how now it is Super Bowl weekend. It's kind of the closing of another football season and kind of the beginning of baseball season. But the Super Bowl now, you know, they're in Atlanta. Brady is playing in a town where he absolutely took the rug out from their Atlanta Falcons 2 years ago in one of the biggest comebacks in Super Bowl history. So you're going to know that building is going to be heavy Los Angeles Rams. I think the Falcon fans that are going to be at this game are going to be pulling for the Rams 100%. So I think the crowd is going to be on the Rams side. I think the Patriot fans who travel well will be supporting Brady, but I think the crowd is going to be an issue for Brady because, you know, you're in an NFC building. But one of the big keys to this game, in my opinion, is the defense. If you look at the 3 Super Bowls that Brady lost, the 2 against the Giants and the 1 against the Eagles, they were all able to do one thing and get in Brady's face. Pressure up the middle with that defensive line if you look back in time, that first Giants team had Michael Strahan. You had these big-time DNs and defensive linemen that can pressure the quarterback. And even if you look at that second Super Bowl against the Giants, they had Justin Tuck, they had Osi Umenyiora, they had
was the guy
Antonio Pierce was on both teams.
Antonio Pierce, but there was another guy.
Matthias Kiwanuka.
Kiwanuka.
Kiwanuka they had. And then even last year, if you look at that Eagles team, they had, that who's that defensive lineman that they have? The one that was on the Seahawks. Is it Martellus Bennett? Not Bennett.
No.
What's his name? He doesn't even wear freaking shoulder pads when he plays. What's his name? I can't think of his name right now. It's escaping me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, it'll pop into my head. When it pops into my head, it'll come. But they had these defensive linemen that can pressure the quarterback. And if you look at the two teams that the Patriots played, other than Bosa on the Chargers, there wasn't no big time defensive lineman that can get through any offensive line. And with the awards coming out yesterday, Aaron Donald, Michael Bennett. So Martell, you know who the other Bennett was a tight end.
Yeah.
So Michael Bennett on the Eagles last year, he's an animal. But with the Rams, you got Sue, you have Donald, you have these guys that no matter who's in front of them, they can get through. Donald's the defensive player of the year. And I really think that if the Rams can get in Brady's face and make him uncomfortable in the pocket, then I think that the Rams have a very good chance of controlling time of possession and controlling the field, and which plays in their favor. I think that if the Rams can do that, it's going to be a long day for Brady. And these teams that, you really look at it, the teams that beat Brady were built around defense, right? Their defense kept them in the games, and then the offense took advantage of their opportunities. Just look at the two Giants Super Bowls. They won on final drives. They won that first Super Bowl, 17-14. There was like 30 seconds left on the clock when Brady got the ball. And when the Giants beat them again, he had like a minute and a half, even though the game ended on a failed Hail Mary that went through Gronk's hands. And even, how did the game end? It wasn't even like a thrilling ending last year either. The game was over. Mm-hmm. So, these teams controlled the clock. They kept Brady off the field. They gave him crappy field position, and the defense held that offense in check. And I don't really think the likes of James White and Sonny Michel are going to really do damage on the ground against this Rams D. What do you think, Cenz?
Yeah, so I talked about it a little bit last week, how the key, I felt, we noticed that the Chiefs didn't get to Brady at all, and he had all the time in the world to throw and, do what he does best. But also they controlled the pace with the running game. So naturally, you can say that if the Rams win the defensive line or win the line game, they win the big game, right? So Aaron Donald is a now two-time Defensive Player of the Year. You got Brockers on that line. You got Sue. I mean, that line is insane. But Aqib Talib also holds a little chip over Brady. I saw something before. Something like Aqib Talib makes Brady has his third lowest QBR against Aqib Talib. And if you remember, he used to play for the Broncos, who they used to play each other all the time, Pats and Broncos, right? So he's a key player in the game. But yeah, I agree with you. If we can get pressure on Brady, it doesn't have to be a hit. I mean, I would love to see some sacks, but get some pressure on him. And that was good that you said about the Giants. That was the key. But the Giants also had a good running game. My boy Brandon Jacobs. And
Ahmad Bradshaw.
Right.
The second year. They didn't have Bradshaw the first year.
But Yeah, Aaron Donald, he's a key player today. I think he's gonna make some noise and get to Brady, wreak some havoc. But should be interesting. Do you have a prediction? Like, are we doing that?
Not yet. I will do that, but I just wanted to go over a quick stat here that I find interesting. So in 2 playoff games, Brady has been sacked 5 times for a total of yards lost for 24 yards. That's it. 5 times for 24 yards in 2 games. That's why. And if you look at both games, and against the Chargers, they had the ball for 36 minutes. Against the Chiefs, they had the ball for 36 minutes. They controlled pace of play, and it's evident here. Yeah. So with the Rams, when the Rams played the Cowboys, I felt like Dak Prescott was on his back every other play. So the Rams get to the quarterback. They are. Let's see here. Sacks, yard, loss. You know what? Not for nothing. They only had 1 sack on Dak for 8 yards. But I feel like they were in his face the entire game. Even though that he couldn't get him to the ground, they really were able to pressure him and make him uncomfortable. And then even against the Saints, the most recent memory game with all the controversy around that game, they were able to get to Breeze. Breeze didn't have a good game, right? He didn't have a Breeze-like game. Actually, we got our head, both of us have our head so far up our ass. What? Because there were no sacks at all in that game.
That's what I'm saying.
In the Rams-Saints game.
Oh, Rams-Saints.
There were no sacks at all. Right? But, like I said, they got to Brady. And they shut down the run game. And that's what the Rams are going to have to do against Brady, right? And they can't give Brady 36 minutes of playtime, right? You got to win the time of possession. You got to keep Brady off the field. And in order to do that, you got to play defense. You got to get off the field on 3rd down. Like we said that last week, the Chiefs couldn't get off the field on 3rd down. And if the Rams can get off the field on 3rd down the majority of the time and not let Brady extend drives, and even more importantly, even if he doesn't score, flip the field on you and give Goff, and the Rams offense a bad starting field position deep in their own zone. It's going to be a tight game. I think if you want to make a prediction, our big time position is I made a prediction last week. I think it was 31-28. I had the Rams flipping the script and kicking a game-winning field goal just like Vinatieri did to them so long ago.
31-28.
31-28.
All right.
So if you're a betting man, last time I saw the line was 2.5. I don't think it's changed. So with a 2.5 point underdog with the Rams, that means if you bet the Rams, you get the points and you would win. The over under is 56. So if you're also a betting man and you like the 31-21, the 31-28 score, it's going to hit over too. It's 59 total points. So you get the over and you get the Rams with the points. I know it's tough to bet against Brady in the Super Bowl. I know it's tough to bet against Brady, and we've been picking against Brady the entire playoff season and we've been wrong. But I think this is a different scenario. I think this is a different animal. So that's my prediction. I know you're betting with your heart here, so I know the Rams are coming out on top. I just want to know what your point totals are.
I'm really bad with scores, but did they score? Let's go, baby! Sorry, I'm watching soccer on the side. My team just scored, tied the game up. Let's see, what do we got? Yeah, Rams win. I don't think it's going to be very high scoring. Let's see. I'm trying to do math now in my head. It's not a good thing.
No, it's not.
23-17. Rams.
So if
I'm a betting man, I'm going way under. Do you come from a land down under? I do.
You do.
So yeah, 40 points. I know.
Yeah, we have 40
I
points.
can add it. I can add that. Thanks. But that's it. That's my take.
All right, so we're not going to beat a dead horse. I think this is a period where, the Super Bowl is a holiday, and as school teachers, we both believe that we should have off tomorrow.
Yeah.
But
we got off Tuesday.
We have off Tuesday, which is big for me.
Except I have a fucking basketball game to still go coach.
Yeah, I mean it is Chinese New Year. I think it's the year of the pig.
It is
this year. But my birthday is Tuesday. So I get to have a nice little day off for my birthday. But I think that, as school teachers, and you know what? The school always finds a way to screw you. I know you have a 6:15 basketball practice the day after the Super Bowl, and I have a big-time formal observation that I have to plan for tomorrow as well. So, they always get you. That's adulthood. That's just being an adult.
At least you don't have to wake up at 4 a.m. to catch the 5:02 train the day after the fucking Super Bowl to coach. First of all, this is my first practice in a month. 1 month. Our first practice. And it's the fucking morning after the Super Bowl? 6:15? Are you kidding me? You could not give us practice any other time between we played fucking 8 games. You couldn't sprinkle in a fucking practice? Oh, no. I forgot. They did. They held practice on a day that school was closed. I had 2 players show up. What the fuck am I going to do with 2 players for basketball practice? For an hour and a half. Shoot around. Take some free throws. Dribble around the court. What the we're losing. We have a losing record. We need more than 1 practice. And you're going to hold it tomorrow? I'm going to be fucking miserable. Miserable. But we got to fucking do it. Anyway.
Miserable especially if the Rams lose.
Oh.
Especially if the Rams lose. Not for nothing. I think if it wasn't the Rams and let's say the Saints got through and it was Saints-Patriots, you wouldn't be as upset.
Oh.
But since your team is in it, it's just taking a knife and just twisting it. Mm-hmm. It's not even just like, oh, well, I got practice. But you're right. You got to freaking practice. We practice 5 days a week for baseball. You can't.
Yeah, but what level are you?
Varsity.
Okay, you're varsity. Not only am I modified, the 7th and 8th grade level, but I'm also the B team. We're the bottom of the barrel here, okay? So we need a lot of practice, yes, but come on, the day after the Super Bowl, are you fucking kidding me?
That's just how your life works, right? I know you had a tough week to begin with. Your pipe burst. You had the Nile River in your basement.
I had Niagara Falls coming out from my fucking ceiling.
So
as I'm cleaning that shit up, my fucking debit card info gets stolen, so I had to close that shit down. Rams, if they win, everything will be fine. I won't give a fuck. I might not even go to sleep tonight. Maybe that's what I'll do. Because if you get 3 hours of sleep, you feel like fucking shit. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll just fucking stay up and play FIFA all night or some shit. I'll just stick it out for a whole day because we have no school on Tuesday.
Yeah, well, no, maybe I'll stay up with you. We can talk on the phone and play video games together, but we'll see. But in other NFL news, really quickly, I want to talk about my Giants for a second. Saquon Barkley winning the Fan and Media Rookie of the Year, beating out Baker Mayfield.
My guy,
Penn State alum.
He helped me win my fantasy league along with the MVP. Pat Mahomes. But a little fun fact about Barkley, his pops had a birthday party at the place where the restaurant where my dad works. I showed you, my dad got a selfie. And this fucking guy, pointing to Puma right now, folks, he didn't even know who he was. Who is that? He goes, who is that? I go, what do you mean? That's my dad and Saquon Barkley. Oh, I didn't recognize him. Come on!
You know what?
Don't let me pull a Greco and start calling you fraud.
No, it's not that I'm a fraud. It's just that I'm so used to seeing him in uniform.
With a Falcon helmet. If you put a helmet on you, that's Saquon Barkley.
Yeah. But, as Cenz is very sidetracked right now. Barkley was everything you could ask for in a second-round pick, if not more. He was better than advertised. He broke Giants rookie records.
Second-round pick?
Second overall pick, I
You said second round.
Well, second overall pick. Same shit, different toilet. Okay?
Way different.
Way different, but everybody knows what I'm talking about.
I'm like, wait a minute, what?
But he was better than advertised, you know? And,
I don't think he was better than advertised.
I think so. I think
he
so.
was. I think he lived up to as advertised.
Now, as a Giants fan, if they could go get that kid from Ohio State,
Who?
that quarterback from Ohio State who's already dreaming of being a Giant, and put him under a year of Manning, even though everybody's saying Manning wants to come back, you know, I think it needs to be a changing of the guard. And I really, really think that that's the next step in this draft. I really think that if you sit here and tell me that they're not going to draft a quarterback in Dwayne Haskins, then, you know, something's wrong. You can't sit on a 38, 37-year-old quarterback and not tell me that Eli's got something left in the tank. You need a mobile quarterback. And I think Dwayne Haskins, along with Barkley and Beckham, the Giants will jump right to NFC stardom.
So I agree and I disagree. I agree because I think the Giants need to get a quarterback for sure. No doubt. All right. But I don't understand what the big rush is all the time. I understand the Giants have zero prospects of a new quarterback right now. And is it only Eli though? I don't want to get into this whole topic because we have a lot to talk about, but all I'm saying is if you have the opportunity to draft a really good quarterback, absolutely do it. But don't be so quick to play him right away because there is value into having him sit and watch for a year, especially if you think he's the real deal. I mean, we've seen it proven so many times already throughout the NFL. Barkley's young. He's not going anywhere. He's shown that he can handle the workhorse load and give you a whole year. Now, Beckham, he's the enigma, right? Hopefully he's down for the ride, unlike fucking Porzingis. But that's a whole. I'll get into that in a little bit.
Well, right before we transition into the Porzingis trade and what we both think about that, we've been talking at length all week about that trade. If you look at the 2019 NFL draft, the teams picking in front of the Giants, unless they trade up, the Cardinals have their quarterback. Mm-hmm. The Niners have Garoppolo. The Jets have Darnold. The Raiders have Carr, but they might dump Carr. I can see them and trading a quarterback because Gruden kind of wants to make his own roster, so he's been doing a lot of dealing and wheeling. And the Bucks have Winston, and you know you don't know what they're gonna do. They have a new coach. They're gonna have a new coach down in Tampa Bay. So yeah, I just don't know who it is, and I don't give a fuck, honestly. So the Giants are probably the first team in the draft really looking for a quarterback. The next, and then they're gonna have their pick. You know, I mean, the Jacksonville Jaguars are behind them. So they're going to have a pick of what quarterback they want. So we'll see what they do. But now, one of the things that the Giants need to do, and you know, I don't like, you know, I'm going to quote somebody here. Don't give me all these made-up stats that Eli this, Eli that, offensive line this, offensive line that. Well, I watch football with my eyeballs. I don't need stats. And my eyeballs tell me that there's no offensive line protecting him. Exactly. And Eli can still play. Yeah. But he's up there in age. Yeah. And he's not Tom Brady.
Right. Yeah, and Tom Brady has a great line. He's given the time.
He's given time. He's given more time than Eli is.
He's probably the least mobile quarterback of all time, Brady. And yet he's gotten it done for fucking forever.
Yes. So, you know, don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining when you tell me that it's all about Manning. It's not. There's a lot of other factors.
I agree.
There's a lot of other factors.
That's what I'm saying.
And they need other help. Maybe they could build the offensive line through free agency, or they can also draft another offensive lineman later in the draft. But I think quarterback is on the top priority list. Yeah, I agree. So let's get to the hot topic now. The biggest news outside of the Super Bowl was going on in the NBA.
Here we go.
Anthony Davis looking for out of New Orleans and looking to get traded, and there is already an offer from the Lakers on the table for them. And I know the Pelicans are looking for 2 first-round picks on top of ready players. But the biggest, most emotional deal that happened here is Porzingis. So I'm going to let my buddy over here rant for however long he needs, because he has every Knicks draft pick from the last 15 years.
Not everyone.
Almost every top draft pick, every first, second round pick.
Yeah, basically
and
the most important ones.
He is going to tell you why being a Knicks fan is the most painful thing in the world. So here he is. Let's hear this rant.
All right. Well, first off, let's talk about what happened. Porzingis got traded to the Mavs for Wesley Matthews, DeAndre Jordan, Dennis Smith Jr., and 2 future first-round picks. The Knicks gave away Porzingis, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Trey Burke. How do I feel about the trade? I love the trade. I love it for a lot of reasons. I love it because we got 2 first-round picks. If we didn't get 2, I wouldn't love it as much. I love it because we got Dennis Smith Jr. out of it. But here's where I start feeling all happy and, yay, this is a great thing. Fucking Porzingis just ended up number 1 on my fucking shit list, all right? For years, and this is a hot take right here. For some reason, I don't know why, I can't explain it, but Dwayne Wade has always been my most hated player in the NBA. He never did anything wrong. He didn't do anything to me as a fan, but I just didn't like him. I didn't like his face. I just didn't like him. But great player. Respect the hell out of him. And I just didn't like, I don't know, I didn't like him. I guess it was like when those 3 or 4, I guess you can say, came into the league, right? LeBron, Wade, Melo, and maybe Bosh, right? It was like choosing a Pokemon when you played Pokemon. Like you had the 3 balls to choose from. You got Charmander, Bulbasaur, Squirtle, right? But whichever one you chose, your fucking asshole rival always chose the one that could beat you, right? The stronger one. Like if you picked Squirtle, you're going to get your ass beat in the first battle by Bulbasaur because he's a fucking grass type, right? And
Charmander was a fire Pokemon.
Right.
So fire beats water all the time.
But I said Bulbasaur.
I know you said Bulbasaur. But Charmander kicks Squirtle's ass too?
No, because the water extinguishes the fire.
Whoever makes first move.
Well, all right. Anyway, the point is, there was just always a thing. Like it was deep embedded in me. Like, all right, I liked Melo. Melo was my guy coming out of there, and I had the shoes. I had the jersey. I liked LeBron. If you don't like LeBron, you don't like him because you're just a fucking asshole. You want to be an asshole, okay? I don't care if like, he's a dick. He's a fucking big ego and. The decision, it was so inappropriate. Dude, he's going to go down as one of the, if not the, best player of all time when it's all said and done.
Better than Jordan?
Dude, he's fucking amazing.
He's not better than Jordan.
We're not going to get into that now. and there's really the grounds that you use to make that argument. I don't know how much more you can really, it's like combing it through with a fucking comb, right? But back to KP. Now KP is my most hated, so Dwayne Wade, you're off the fucking hook. KP, you're public enemy number 1 in Jenda's book. I fucking hate you. And any other fucking Knicks fan, fucking frauds. I'm saying it right now. Fucking frauds when they say, oh, we'll miss you, KP. You miss him? What are you going to miss him for? Sitting on the bench? Not being able to fucking play a whole season? You're going to miss that? You're going to miss him with his fucking lousy warm-ups, throwing the ball off the backboard, catching it in one hand and dunking. Whoa, 7'3", I can dunk a basketball. That's like me dunking on a fucking 7-foot rim. You're going to miss that? What the fuck are you going to miss? I'm not going to miss it, I'll tell you that much, okay? So he's got the balls to say, I don't like the direction the team's going. I don't want to be a part of it. Fine. Go fucking kick rocks. You can't not stay healthy. It's fucking proven. And we're not going to give you that fucking chance to. So you want out? No problem, bro. We'll fucking get you out of here. But where I continue to get pissed is that they got Dennis Smith Jr., and I love the player. He's a great player. He's very good. But you could have drafted him instead of Ntilikina. So now here we go. You hear that? It's notes. Took a lot of notes. Knicks draft picks, records, and what was going on in that season. We're going to go back to 2005 and the picks they got and who they could have gotten. Here we go, man. It's exciting stuff.
Before you get into that, okay?
Yeah.
And I love it. I love the passion. I love the emotion. You know, that's what we need here. But one of the things you failed to mention about this deal is the 2 max contracts.
I was getting to it.
But just to go back to one thing you said about LeBron.
Yeah.
For that conversation to actually hold weight, you have to look at what the NBA was back then. Okay? This is an NBA where every foul gets called. They really can't play defense. It's a scoring league. LeBron is the best player of this generation. But if you can't compare him to Jordan, because Jordan would get hacked and whacked in that NBA. With the defensive calls, the defense was played a lot harder. There was a lot more defensive battles in that NBA. So if you break it down in time periods, LeBron is best of his era. Jordan's the best of his era. Case closed. We're never having the argument again. But let me know how bad the Knicks suck right now.
Hold on. If you mean to tell me that if you took LeBron James, the way he is right now, 6'8", 280, can fucking run and jump like a goddamn gazelle, that he would not succeed in that he wouldn't do, I think he'd do the same shit back then. Because, yes, different game, fine. But everyone in the NBA now, not everyone, but like skill sets of being able to dribble and being able to shoot from long range, that's widespread in the NBA. It's not just guards. Centers do that too. Back then, who was doing that shit? Only the guards, okay? Listen, Michael Jordan, I don't think when people talk about Jordan, they talk about like his offensive prowess and how great he was and how transcendent he was athletically. He was a great defender. LeBron is no slouch on defense either. No. All right? LeBron is a fucking freak because of just physically. And one-on-one, you mean to tell me LeBron can't beat Jordan? He's literally just bigger and stronger. And at
6'8", Jordan was 6'6".
Okay, yeah, but it's the pounds, bro. LeBron's fucking heavy. And listen, Jordan's ripped and muscular as fuck, but LeBron is thick.
No homo.
He's thick.
No homo.
Bro, it's not homo. You're fucking homo for feeling you gotta say no homo. All right? Listen, we're not getting into this. Let me talk about the Knicks, all right? Because now I'm off track. Here we go. 2005, the Knicks had 2 first-round picks, the 8th overall, and the 30th pick. With the 8th pick, the Knicks got Channing Frye, and the Knicks got David Lee with the 30th pick. They were 23-59 in that year, finished 5th in the division. So David Lee, I think most Knicks fans would say, like, David Lee was a good player for the Knicks. Not mad about that. I don't think any Knicks fans would be fucking jumping around when they remember Channing Frye.
He was better after.
Channing Frye sucks.
He was better. He had his better years after.
Yeah, when he was just literally a shooter for LeBron.
Yeah.
Okay. So they could have gotten Andrew Bynum, who had a lot of good years in the Lakers, young, promising player, never really turned out to be anything that he was touted up to be. And Danny Granger, again, same thing. Great promise, good young player, solid player for the Pacers for many, many years. Devastating injury just took his career short. Okay? Not too bad. The next year, the Knicks had, again, 2 first-round picks. Late, though. 20th overall and then 29th overall. So kind of close. You can kind of think, okay, you know what? We're gonna platoon these picks. We're gonna say, okay, we're gonna get one of our needs right away, and then we can get another guy that we need right after that. Perfect, no problem, right? So naturally, you draft Ronaldo Balkman, 20th overall, and Mardy Collins on the 29th overall pick. Those 2 guys didn't do cock. All right? They never became anything. At least Channing Frye and David Lee became something. These guys didn't become anything. Knicks went 33-49. Okay, a little bit better. 4th in the division. But they could have gotten Rondo that year and Kyle Lowry. Both players still playing today. Rondo won championships. And Kyle Lowry, although hasn't won anything, has been a very, very good point guard. He's actually gotten better in the last few years. I mean, point guard is a position that is so critical to a team. And this time the Knicks had Marbury, so I guess they didn't feel like they needed it. But, yeah, right? Looking back, it's easy to say this. I understand. 2007, 23rd overall pick. They got Wilson Chandler. Again, most Knicks fans would say, good Nick. But he was another guy who was injured all the time. And the Knicks record went back down to 23-59, 5th in the division.
Wasn't he in the Carmelo Anthony trade?
He ended up being part of the deal. Yep. So, well, nobody really significant in that draft. Not a good one. 2008, 6th overall pick. You get Gallinari. I guess a fan favorite. I don't know. He was someone that good player, still plays today, but he never elevated his game really. He never became anything more. Whatever. They could have gotten Brook Lopez, who I don't think is really a step up from Gallinari. So they went 32-50 that year, 5th in division. So, okay, we've gone through 4 seasons now with the Knicks, and no change. They're finishing 5th every fucking year except for one they finished 4th. Big deal. 2009, 8th overall pick. Okay, so you get a top 10 pick. The 8th overall pick they used to pick Jordan Hill. Puma, you know who Jordan Hill is?
No clue.
No clue. I don't blame you, because you know why? He's fucking garbage. That's why. He's fucking trash. He was trash when they drafted him. You know who the Knicks could have gotten? Well, that's the Curry draft. Curry went right before them, so I don't blame them. But maybe you try to trade up. You settle with Jordan Hill. You know who went right after the Knicks? DeMar DeRozan, who's an all-star, still playing today. You know who else went after the Jordan Hill? Drew Holiday, who's having a career year right now. Good point guard. And Jeff Teague also went after, who is just a very solid point guard, still plays today. Jordan Hill, don't even know what the fuck he's up to now. Knicks went 29-53 that year. 2010, no first-round picks. This is the Melo year. Melo comes to the Knicks. Stoudemire's here. Chauncey Billups. They have 2 second-round picks, Landry Fields and Andy Routens. They became boys. I actually saw both of them while bartending at Haiku once. They walked in with a couple girls. Pretty cool. They finished 42-40, second in the division. They were swept by Boston in the first round of the playoffs. But here we go. 2010 playoffs. Finally. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fucking years in. Playoffs. Finally. Okay, maybe we're on to something, right? 2011. Round 1, 17th overall pick. Goes to Iman Shumpert. This was the lockout year. Knicks went 36-30. Second in the division. Lynn Sanity's taking over the Knicks. You got the transition of head coaches. D'Antoni is out. Mike Woodson in. Woodson loses only 6 games. Knicks go to the playoffs again. They lose to Miami, though, in the first round. They get 1 game out of it, at least. They didn't get swept. However, the Knicks could have drafted Jimmy Butler in that draft, but he went very late. I don't think anyone really saw him becoming as what he is today. But still, to think about, you could have had Jimmy Butler instead of fucking Iman Shumpert, who's not even on the team anymore. Next year, this is my favorite. This is my favorite Knicks draft pick of all time. 2012, second round pick, no first rounds, the 48th overall pick, went to Kostas Papanikolaou, who never fucking came over from Greece to play. Nice pick, assholes. Great job. But the Knicks went 54-28, finished first in the division. Jason Kidd, Camby, and Rasheed Wallace all on the team. They beat Boston in the first round of the playoffs. They lost in 6 games to the Pacers in the next round. But that's when you're starting to think, okay, the Knicks won the division. Here we go. Knicks basketball is back. Oh, but no. Because the next year, in 2013, when they had the 24th overall pick, they drafted Tim Hardaway Jr., good pick. No really could-haves after that. This is Phil Jackson year. He comes in. Bargnani. Woohoo. Here we go. Bargnani. And the Knicks go 37-45. Finish third in the division. No playoffs. Great job. You go from finishing first in your division and going to the Eastern Conference Finals to not even making the playoffs. Great job. 2014, no first-round picks. Second-round pick, 34th overall, goes to Anthony Early. Amazing player. He's great. Really great player now. Not. You want to know what the Knicks record was? 17-65. That's with head coach Derek Fisher. The Knicks were putting players like Alexei Shved, Quincy Acey, Cole Aldrich, Lou Amundsen, Langston Galloway, the G League hero, and Shane Larkin. They were trotting those fucking guys out. Great job. 2 years ago, you were in the Eastern Conference Finals. Ugh.
Weren't they the semifinals?
Eastern Conference... No, the Eastern Conference Finals.
I thought it was the quarters, the semis, and then the finals, and then the NBA finals.
Oh, yeah, the semifinals. You're right.
Now, let me ask you this.
Oh, we're just getting to it.
Let me ask you this, though. Was this when they had Jimmer Fournette?
Oh, I was getting to it.
Because...
No, it was Fredette. And
wasn't Jimmer Fournette?
That's the next one.
Fredette wasn't Fredette in the G League in Westchester over here lighting
yeah.
it up, and they wouldn't call him up for some fucking reason?
Dude, it's the fucking G League. You're lighting up the G League. I don't give a fuck.
Well, it's not like they had anything else.
Well, all right. So look, here we go. 2015, fourth overall pick. You get Porzingis, and this is when Jimmer got the call up. All right, who he didn't do anything. So, great job. Knicks went 32-50. 13th in the Eastern Conference. Fisher's out. Kurt Rambis in as coach. But here we go. Now we're back to rebuilding. 2016, we have no picks. I mean, for a team that's trying to rebuild, you get no picks. That's because of the Bargnani trade.
Oh.
Yeah. The Knicks go 31-51. Jeff Hornacek still coach. 12th in the East. You had guys like Willie Hernan-Gomez, who I really believed he could have been a nice player for the Knicks if they kept him, but for some reason it just didn't. I mean, Phil Jackson really, I don't know what the fuck he did. He really fucked this whole team up. Brandon Jennings was there. He played okay with them. Courtney Lee came in, and Joakim Noah, Derrick Rose. These were the free agents they signed. They're like, okay, the Knicks, this is their version of the big three. This is like the start of... It's the bait to draw the big names in, right? The bait. I guess the bait, we're still waiting, right? 2017, you get the 8th overall pick again. Here we go. Top 10 pick is used on Frank Ntilikina. All right, great job. Knicks went 29-53, 11th in the East. They could have drafted Dennis Smith Jr., a guy named Donovan Mitchell who has been lighting it up, and a guy like Kyle Kuzma. All three names are not only like names of solid players that anybody in the NBA would like to have in their team, but they're young as fuck and they're good now. Instead, you're working on a fucking project. Frank Ntilikina, you're still hoping, he's got so much promise. He's so much potential. He's young. He's long. He's athletic. He sucks. 2018, 9th overall pick, Kevin Knox. I like the pick. Knicks have the worst record in the league right now. So, yeah, as Puma mentioned, they made the trade to clear space for 2 max contracts. Now, who can that space be used for? Well, you have names like Kemba Walker is a free agent. Klay Thompson's a free agent. KD. Jimmy Butler. The Knicks need to, in order for this Porzingis trade to officially be a good trade, the Knicks need 3 things to happen. One, they need to sign one max player.
At least.
No, they need to sign one. The second thing that need to happen is they need to sign another max player. And the third thing is they have to get first overall pick. The Knicks cannot. I swear to God, this would be such a fucking Knicks thing. The Knicks cannot use this cap space. I believe it's $71 million on Tobias Harris, Chris Middleton, those guys. They're good players, but they're not the players that you do this for. That you trade what was known as a franchise cornerstone. Which, by the way, Porzingis didn't prove jack shit. Okay, he was a good player. He was really good when he was healthy, but he was never healthy. And not for nothing, when he was playing, were the Knicks winning? No. So, kiss my ass. I'll be happy. Oh, and of course, Kyrie. So, the Knicks, I would be happy with Kyrie, obviously. I'd be happy with Kemba. The reason why I like Kemba is because he's a Bronx guy. Playing for the Knicks, you're a Bronx kid, that's fucking awesome. I feel like that would get him going. And we remember when UConn played Pitt in the Big East finals, or the tournament, and he fucking crossed up that center from Pitt and hit that game-winning shot. Amazing. He plays good in the Garden. Kemba, Kyrie, I'll take Klay Thompson. Of course I'd take Klay Thompson. I want KD. I'd rather have KD than Jimmy Butler, but I'd be okay with Jimmy Butler and like Kemba. I'd be okay with Kyrie and Butler. I'd be okay with Kemba, KD, or Klay and Butler. I don't want... It has to be two max guys and Zion Williamson. The Knicks right now, the season ended today, have a 14% chance of the first overall pick. They're guaranteed a top 5 pick. Only the Suns and Cavs are tied with the Knicks percentage-wise for the first overall pick at 14%. So the Knicks have a very good chance to get Zion Williamson. Now, going from my beautiful notes here, the Knicks do not draft good at all. If they if they don't get the first overall pick, if they don't even get the second overall pick, so they lose it on Zion, they lose it on fucking RJ Barrett, I swear to God, they have to still draft a guy coming out of college in the United States. Please do not draft an international guy. Vladimir Yebasenko, who plays in the fucking Lithuania Pro League. I made that name up. I'm just saying, I don't want another one of these guys who's a project. We need to draft better. And the Knicks have to sign these two max guys for this deal to be done and be good. That's my thing. So, fuck KP, and I like the trade, but I will officially like it if all three things happen.
It's very hard to top that in-depth analysis. Cenz has worked himself up so much he's parched. And he's walked away from the table, and he's leaving the building. So he's kind of just figuratively dropped the mic and is done for the day, I'm assuming. So it's just me now, by myself. But just to kind of give my opinion on the trade, I believe that I agree with everything that Cenz is saying. Now, I'm what you call an in-closet Knicks fan. I don't go around parading the fact that I like the Knicks, but I am involved and I do pay attention to what the Knicks do. And, you know, KP to me wasn't, even if you just go back to the video of that kid when Porzingis was drafted, and he was, the sheer set of upset emotion that he showed just shows to you right there they should have drafted him from the outset.
No. I don't think, I think the Knicks fans were wrong for booing him. This thing's about to fall. But, you know, I don't think it was right that he got booed when he got drafted. Because, like I said, I don't hate KP for his game. He's a really good player. But I don't like him for the fucking balls he thinks he has. For coming out and saying what he said. and thinking that you're doing this on a rookie contract, man. You're fucking complaining from the bench. You haven't played this year. And you gotta say, you have the balls to say, I don't like the direction it's going. We are about to get an amazing player from college. And you don't like where it's going? You haven't played! Who the fuck do you think you are? I am.
Nice name drop.
But seriously, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Fuck him.
I guess he had a little bit more left in the tank. A little bit of water, and he's right back.
I had to lube the tubes up, you know what I mean? Lube the tubes.
I wish we had. I'm going to make that into a sound bite, just so you know. The other superstar that's in trade talks right now is Anthony Davis. Looking at his contract, he has 2 years left on his contract, so it's not a potential free agent deal. So his asking price is going to be through the roof. Everybody talked about a Porzingis package centered around Davis to get Davis to New York, and everybody talked about KD, Davis, and Kyrie.
The Knicks don't even have enough guys to offer the Pelicans for Davis.
You know,
they give KP. Okay, so the Pelicans say, okay, you want to give me a young but often injured big man who's basically a watered down version of the big man that we have already, and
it would never work.
And a far inferior defender. Okay, fine, but who else are you gonna give us? We can give you Emmanuel Mudiay. Who gives a fuck about Mudiay? Another guy. By the way, the Knicks traded and signed all these guys that they could have fucking drafted the first time. Mudiay they could have drafted. They could have drafted Dennis Smith Jr. They've traded Tim Hardaway Jr. twice. What are you doing? I'm a better fucking GM on the goddamn video games than these guys are in real life. Come on! If I can run a fucking team of... I have all the numbers in front of me on the fucking video game. You gotta know something more than me. You're living it. That's your fucking job to find that shit out. I'm like, fuck this, man. Fuck this.
So, I think that we've really beat a dead horse here now with this. The summer 2019 for the Knicks is probably one of the biggest summers they've had in decades.
If they don't do the three things that I said that they have to do, failure, and it's just continuing to live in the dark ages for them. That's it. I'm done.
Okay. So, with that being said, another trade deadline is coming up, fastly approaching.
Oh, wait, sorry. But the Lakers, right? The Lakers offered the Pelicans Kuzma, Ball, Michael Beasley, and I think Kentavious Caldwell-Pope,
and a couple of picks,
and a first-round pick. And the Pelicans laughed and said no. They want Kuzma, Ball, Ingram, and 2 first-rounders. And I think that's very fair because Anthony Davis is in the prime of his career. He's arguably the best player in the league. People often debate that. People forget about him because he plays in New Orleans and no one fucking pays attention to them. But he is one of the best players in the league. And he's worth every single penny. If I were the Lakers, I'd do whatever I have to do to get him with LeBron.
So,
let's get to hockey.
Let's get to hockey, finally, please. I've been sitting here with my dick in my hands for the past 25 minutes because, basketball is not my bag, baby. But, hockey is. And, I know that the trade deadline's coming up. The Rangers are going to be big-time sellers, I believe. I think that, you're going to see some guys be moved. Some guys you might not want to see moved, but are going to get moved. I'm looking here on TSN right now, and they have a list of the most coveted players at the trade deadline. Artemi Panarin is number 1 from the Blue Jackets. He already told Columbus that he's not going to sign an extension. So he's major trade bait. He's going to be a rental. He's a UFA at the end of the year. He's been linked to the Rangers.
But why would they?
As a free agent. They're not going to trade for him.
Okay.
So in the summer.
After this year.
After this year. So you're not going to see that. Matt Duchene of Ottawa, another free agent. Wayne Simmons, another free agent. Matt Zuccarello is 5 on this list. Michael Furlan's in front of him, another free agent. The top 5 guys on this list are free agents at the end of the year, so they're rentals. The only guy that I see that in the top 13 that's not a free agent is a defenseman, Dougie Hamilton for Carolina. But what I'm thinking here is that you're going to see some names get moved. I think Panarin's going to get moved. I think Zuccarello is going to get moved for sure. I think Brian Boyle of the Devils is going to get moved. The Devils aren't competing right now, and a team that's going to be in the thick of it and in the playoffs is going to look for a Brian Boyle to center a 4th-round line in the playoffs because he's been there and done that. You got a couple of goaltenders that are available. Jimmy Howard of Detroit, Cam Talbot of ex-Ranger, Edmonton Oiler on the trade block as well. Sergei Bobrovsky, also the Russian goaltender for Columbus, is on the block apparently. Another Ranger that you see and you're going to hear a lot about is Kevin Hayes. And what pains me is that watching these hockey games and watching the Ranger game, like the game a couple of days ago in New Jersey, that line, that Zibanejad line with Zuccarello, is one of the. They're so fun to watch. They're so skilled, and the chemistry level is so high that it's gonna, is Zibanejad playing at the level that he can play with anybody, or is Zuccarello that good that he's
elevating everyone's
that
game.
Exactly. Zuccarello is not a big time goal scorer. He's assists. He has
He's John Stockton on ice.
Well, he in 36 games he has 27 points. He only has 8 goals. So you really, and he scored last night against Tampa Bay. I think he's got 9 goals now, but he's an assist machine. So if you're gonna get rid of a Zuccarello, you have to replace a Zuccarello with a guy that can distribute the puck on a Zibanejad line. So I think that you could do one of 2 things. Zuccarello is 31 years old. Is that old for hockey? Not really. You see a lot of guys playing into their late 30s, early 40s, and really special players playing later into their career and being a productive player. But here's the thing: if you're not going to sign him, you don't want to just lose him for nothing. So you have to trade him. That's what a lot of position like Panarin is one of the best goal scorers. He's got 57 points. He's got 20 goals in 48 games. You can't not trade a guy like that that's not going to re-sign with your team because now you are losing him for nothing. Okay? So you hear that a lot when they talk trades. You want to lose them for nothing, or do you want to get something out of it and trade them if you're not going to re-sign them or they're not going to want to re-sign with you? So things will start to unfold. There are a lot of rumors right now.
When is the deadline?
The end of February. So there was a trade that went down. Derek Brassard was traded to the Florida Panthers for Nick Bjugstad and Jared McCann. Going to Florida as well were 3 draft picks, a 2nd-round pick in this year's draft, Pittsburgh's 4th-round pick, and Pittsburgh also sent Minnesota's 4th-round pick for Nick Bjugstad and Jared McCann. So it got me thinking. Brassard, Ranger, was on those 3 teams that went to the Cup final, that went to the Eastern Conference final. And if you look at his production, he got traded. The Rangers traded him for Zibanejad. And everybody, fan favorite Brassard had passion. I loved Brassard when he was a Ranger. Mm-hmm. But you chipped off his contract for a younger, better centerman in that trade. And now he got traded. And then from Ottawa, he got traded to Pittsburgh. He spent 1.5 years there. Now he gets traded again. Why? Why do a player with that much skill? Because he's not producing. And I looked near and far all over the internet to see if there was any locker room issues with him or any character issues. I couldn't find anything. If you sign a 5-year, $25 million contract that he signed with the Rangers, you got to produce, and he's not putting up that contract. So Pittsburgh moved him to Florida for Nick Bjugstad. And you know what? Bjugstad is big, talented, and I think the Penguins are going to not miss Brassard. I really don't see them missing Brassard. Jake Muzzin was traded to the Maple Leafs from LA for 2 players and a first-round pick. That's really... Nino Niederreiter was traded a couple of weeks ago to Carolina from Minnesota for Victor Rask. Delzato, your boy. I think the only person in New York that has his jersey, that wasted money on his jersey and a Ranger jersey, was traded from Vancouver to Anaheim for Luke Shannon, a 2020 7th-round pick. So pretty much a bag of garbage. And those are really, there are a bunch of other trades being made, but they're more minor leaguers and future consideration trades. So the big trades haven't really happened yet. And, you're going to see some of these big names get moved in the next couple of weeks because these teams need to make moves. And these teams really need to be... this trade went under the wraps. So, November 14th, 2018, Hagelin was traded. Again, now, Hagelin was traded from Pittsburgh to the Kings. This happened in November. I didn't even know that. Uh-huh. So, Hagelin right now is not, I don't even, he got traded for Tanner Pearson. So, and not for nothing, he's 30 years old. You know what? You know what I can see? And this is just an outside the box way of thinking. Do you think that the Rangers might go back to Hagelin and maybe sign him as a free agent if he's a free agent this year? What's his contract? Let's see.
Why would they?
Well, they traded him because they couldn't re-sign him. They traded him for a bag of pucks pretty much. And what was the guy's name? Edom. And he's not even in the fucking league anymore. Great job. Talk about bad trades. Carl Hagelin right now he signed a 4-year, $16 million deal with the Penguins in 2016. So they unloaded him, and he's going to be a free agent this summer. Why not? The Rangers haven't looked the same since they got rid of Hagelin. They don't,
Yeah.
They tried to replace Hagelin with Grabner, and I loved Grabner. Oh, I loved Michael Grabner, and he's lighting it up in Arizona right now. But, 30 years old, you could probably get him for cheaper than $4 million a year. Mm-hmm. If you can get him for maybe a 2-year, I don't know, $6 million deal, might be something the Rangers want to look into. He could teach the young players how to on the penalty kill, and he's just got speed, and speed is the game right now. So that's just what's going on in the NHL right now. Really not much movement. Yeah. They're in the second half of the season. We'll get more into playoff pictures as it goes. So now, before we go into our push and pull,
wait, baseball.
I know. Before we go into our push and pull, I want to talk about baseball, and I'm putting on the hat backwards now.
By the way, what kind of hat do you have on today? Puma's a hat guy, and has a lot of hats. He will be wearing different hats each time we record. Today he's got a brand spanking new Atlanta Braves hat, clean, very nice. Wearing it, I don't know if you knew this, but did you wear it because the Super Bowl today in Atlanta, or is it just by chance?
That's just by chance.
Oh, that's nice. He got it for his birthday. And I am wearing a real OG. These people say, "Oh, Chen, you're a Rams fan? You fucking bandwagoner?" No. If you really know me, I've been a Rams fan since 3rd grade, and I've had Falk jersey. Now I'm wearing my boy, Steven Jackson, throwback. Okay, it looks a little beat up. The numbers are a little fucked up, but you know what? I'm wearing it now. Later, I will be wearing my Eric Dickerson because the colors are true, and I've been wearing it for every game, and it's done well since. So, that's what I'm doing.
I'm wearing this Brave hat. My girlfriend got me this hat, and she's bought me hats in the past, and she's really hit the nail on the head with the hats. Last week I was wearing a St. Louis Cardinal hat, but it wasn't the traditional STL hat. It was the Cardinal on a perch hat. So, I like to wear hats that are throwbacks. I have about 25 different hats. from different teams all over the MLB. I have, like, just to reference a few, I have the 1998 San Diego Padres World Series hat. I have the Oakland A 1989 World Series hat. I have the 96 Yankees World Series hat. I have the Jeter Yankee hat. I also have one of my favorite hats, the 1997 turquoise Florida Marlin hat.
You love that one.
I have, what else do I have? That's interesting. I have a Milwaukee Brave 1957 World Series hat with the patch and everything. In 2015, when the Mets and Royals were in the World Series, I bought a World Series Royals hat without the patch, because in New York, all of a sudden, when the Mets are in the World Series, they forget there are two teams in the World Series, not just one, and they yell at the guy at lids for that one. I was like, there's two teams, right? They had the Mets World Series, but not the Royals World Series. So, anyway, back to the MLB, since it's a nice little segue. I'm putting on the hat backwards now because it's my turn to rant now.
Here we go. Oh, I see some sweat marks. Now we're really getting intense now.
So, I love baseball. Not just because I'm a Yankee boy or a Yankee fan and all I watch are the Yankees. I will watch the Colorado Rockies play the San Diego Padres on a random Wednesday night just because I love to watch the game. And just watch. I just love the game. The game it's so glamorous and so beautiful to me. And it pains me that we are now talking about a strike and the chance that baseball will not be played for the first time since 1994. And for those of you who remember that strike, the season ended with the Montreal Expos in first place and the Yankees in first place. And if it wasn't for the 94 strike, we still might have a team in Montreal. They wouldn't have moved to Washington. But there is a big divide right now between the Players Association and the owners. And the main reason for this is the fact that you have big market teams like the Yankees and the Dodgers who are claiming poor.
Tell them.
Poor! How? If you want to sit behind the plate at a Yankee game, you need to win the fucking lottery. Okay? They serve you food. Lobster. All this shit that you don't need to sit down and watch a fucking Yankee game.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
And they're claiming poor.
Yeah.
How the fuck
Yeah.
are you going to claim poor when you're charging your fans that much fucking money? It's fucking horseshit.
Well, the Rockies have a lot of money, don't they?
And the Rockies, who are in the Midwest, in Colorado, where players do not want to go, just signed Nolan Arenado to a $26 million deal for 1 year.
It's a lot of money.
And the Yankees don't want to pay Harper or Machado. You tell me how that makes sense. So you know what? If I had to pick a side between being on the PA or being with the owners, I'm with the Players Association on this. Okay? Because the owners have manipulated the system to the point where baseball is going to die. Okay? There are two stud prospects that are going to be in the majors next year. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Fernando Tatis Jr. And you know what's going to happen? You're not going to see them until the end of May. Why? Oh, something called service time manipulation. And I've talked about this before. What service time manipulation, you ask? So, a player in the minors, once they get called up to the majors, their service time clock starts. Okay? And the Yankees and every team has control over these prospects for 6 years. 6 years. Okay? And 3 of those 6 years are arbitration years. So the player can argue, and that gets ugly. Just look at Dellin Betances. He hates the Yankees front office because of how they treated him in the pre-arbitration hearings. Now, what's going to happen is if you sit and wait a few extra weeks, you get that player for an additional year. So instead of it being 6 years, it's 7. So you're taking these kids, these young kids, and saying, you know what? You're ready, but you're going to rot away in the minors for an extra couple of months. So we get that extra year of control. So you don't get paid. Aaron Judge is not going to be a free agent until he's 30. 31. Because of this shit.
That's crazy.
Okay? The only reason why Machado and Harper are free agents so young, is because they were up in the major leagues at 19 years old. Harper was 19 and baby-faced when he came up. Okay? And the same thing with Machado.
He's still baby-faced.
And he's still baby-faced, But, I can do without his hair, though. But, if I'm a player, and I'm 26 years old, and I go to multiple All-Star games, and I have multiple Gold Gloves, and I win an MVP award, or I'm in the MVP award, I deserve to get paid. And these players deserve to get paid. You know what? It's not about the Yankees paying them. I don't give a fuck who pays them at this point. Somebody's got to fucking pay them. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if a Japanese league team jumped in and said, hey,
No.
I will give you an ownership of the Yomiuri Giants, and I will give you a lifetime contract.
Sharks? Is that a team?
I don't even fucking know.
I think it's a basketball.
I don't even fucking know. But
well, they had the same thing going on in soccer. Like, some of the best players in the world at such a young age are getting these crazy offers from Chinese teams because they have so much fucking money. They're paying them. They can't even, the fucking Premier League can't even fucking touch the money that the Chinese are giving them. And these guys in their prime are going to play in China against nobody. They can't even compete in Champions League. That's a whole different thing. But you brought up the Japanese league. I thought I had to go into my little soccer thing for a little bit.
But now, spring training, pitchers and catchers report on February 11th, 12th, and 13th. I think the latest date is the 15th. Wow. And these guys aren't signed yet. And I saw a report on Bleacher Report on my team stream.
Wasn't Harper a catcher when he first came up?
In high school, he was.
He wasn't a pro?
He was never a pro catcher. He was always an outfielder. Always. Never a catcher. Machado came up as a shortstop, and they moved him to third.
I knew that.
Okay. But the earliest team to report is the Seattle Mariners on February 11th. The latest team to report is on the 15th, the Atlanta Braves. No pun in, kind of convenient here.
Coincidence.
Coinky dink. But I don't know what these teams are waiting for. Okay? I don't understand what the issue is. You have these big market teams using the luxury tax as a salary cap. Okay? What's the point of a free market if you're going to take a luxury tax that's not even considered as a salary cap and turn it into one? Okay? The Yankees, if you remember, always had the highest payroll in the game. The Dodgers in recent years too. Now a small market team that always had pride on not having the biggest payroll has the biggest payroll in the Boston Red Sox. Okay? Now, what's going to happen when Trout's a free agent? They're not going to pay him either. And they're trying to get savvy, and these fucking nerds are sitting behind their computer saying, you don't have to pay these guys. Okay? Don't give me the fucking Pythagorean theorem and tell me that it's raining. When like I said with football, I have eyeballs. Okay? You know what the beautiful thing about baseball is? It's the same game from the late 1800s. Okay? There are, on a diamond, 90 feet away, bases with a 60-foot mound. The game is the fucking same. There was no rule changes like the implement of the three-point shot in the NBA. Okay? Yeah. There was no major rule changes like the NHL where they took away the two-line pass and changed the icing.
You're right.
Okay? What's the biggest rule change? Just like high school. Oh, you don't have to throw 4 balls. You just automatically walk them, which ruins the fucking game anyway. Okay? How many times did you see a pitcher who is zoned in throwing 95 miles an hour have to throw a pitch out to a standing catcher and overthrows the catcher? That's not going to happen anymore. But the MLB, as much as we are traditionalists and we love our pastime and we don't want it to change, right? You can't reach a new fan, okay, by showing that you are so tight-stringed with your money that you're not going to pay the biggest stars in the game, okay? You look at these NBA contracts. They're making Anthony Davis is making $27 million a year in a salary cap. With the salary cap. Like, it doesn't make sense for me. It doesn't make sense.
The NBA will pay anybody. The fucking Kelly Olynyk is a shit player, and he's getting paid a really good salary. And the Heat, this guy Tyler Johnson, who doesn't even fucking play, got an amazing contract. And you're right. You're absolutely right.
Everybody's afraid of the 10-year deal because it doesn't for in baseball because it doesn't never pan out. If A-Rod never re-signed that 10-year deal and opted out after the 7th year, that would have been one of the best contracts.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, him opting out kind of fucked everybody over. The best 10-year contract that was signed was Jeter's. It was 10 years, $189 million. Okay, so A-Rod's would have topped that if he never opted out. So I understand the fear, okay? But you're not going to win if you're afraid, okay? Just like people always say, well, the Teixeira contract was worth it, even though he was shit at the end because we won a World Series in the first year of that contract. You know what? Look at age. These two guys. I'm just talking about two. There are other free agents like a Kimbrel that's still out there. And other free agents like Moustakas, who's a decent third baseman.
What about the pitcher with the beard from Houston? What the fuck's his name?
Keuchel's still a free agent. Dallas Keuchel.
He's decent.
He's going down. He's on a downtrend. His numbers. He hasn't been the same since he won the Cy Young. But still, he's a decent He's a solid, serviceable pitcher that can get you outs, and he's left-handed.
What the fuck?
But and he owns the Yankees. But you can't tell me that an 8-year deal or even a 10-year deal, you're going to be out of the deal by the time he's 36.
That's good.
And if you want to offer him an opt-out halfway through the deal, offer him an opt-out. Okay? So then you're really potentially it's only a 5-year deal. Okay? But don't tell me that Nolan Arenado, who's 28, who's older, deserves $26 million a year and these guys don't. Okay? I think if I was Manny Machado and the White Sox offered me $175 million, I'd laugh at them and say, don't, I'm done with you. I'm not even looking to come. I don't give a fuck if my fucking brother-in-law's on your fucking team and you have my fucking workout buddy on the team. That's embarrassing. Embarrassing. Like I said, a fair offer for Machado is 8 years, $275 with an opt-out after the 5th year. I've been saying it since we started this fucking show. And Harper maybe gets a little bit more. He plays in the outfield, the left-handed bat. I would say he deserves the bigger contract because he doesn't have a lot of baggage that Manny has with the whole not running out crap and whatever. So that's my rant. Get it together because you want to know something? In 3 years, I don't want to have to spend the summer without baseball and having to watch independent league baseball with has-beens and never-wases. Okay? Don't do it. The fans don't deserve it. And just because you want to be greedy, don't let your greed get in the way.
Amen.
Okay, so it's Sunday. But now, let's go into our next segment here. Push and pull factors.
All right.
Okay, so you want to go first?
Sure.
Okay, so what's your push factor for the week?
My push. My push was the Porzingis thing.
And you really can't top that.
Yeah, I'll just again summarize. I don't understand where he gets off thinking he can say what he said and demand a trade like that when he hasn't proven anything, and I don't like that he didn't want to stick around. That's my push. Fuck him.
So, my push is now ESPN is a dying sports network. It's dying. Okay, they ruined SportsCenter. All they cover is football. They don't cover hockey. They don't cover every sport fairly. Okay, and they're too politically correct for me, so I don't watch them anymore. And I used to watch SportsCenter every morning, but now what ESPN is deciding to do is back to baseball, canceling Baseball Tonight as a nightly show. So you're going to see Baseball Tonight, but it's going to be before the Sunday night games.
Meanwhile, they have football shows every fucking day, even without football season.
And they have the college football Tonight show, college game day. This is why nobody wants to watch ESPN anymore. Okay? Because you guys should just change your name to the NFL Network too. Because that's all you talk about. You're talking about football in July. Who gives a fuck about football in July? Talk about the sports. Like we said in this podcast, we're going to talk about the sports that are in season.
Yep.
Okay? And that's what we're doing. We're talking about hockey. We're talking about basketball. We've probably talked more hockey in this show than they have in the past 6 years. Okay?
Their biggest thing is getting, what's his name?
Barry Melrose.
Barry Melrose on there with John Butchergross, and those two sucking each other off and being like, "Oh, Barry, I love your fucking mullet, man. You're so cool. Let's see them fucking twinkling the twine. Shut the fuck up."
And not for nothing, before the lockout, the Stanley Cup was on ABC, and ESPN carried games. Now, NBC has that contract, and, NBC Sports has that contract. But why are you cutting your brand short? You're a sports channel. That means you cover all sports. And there is competition. You're not the only dog in town. There's the NHL network, the MLB network, the Fox Sports has a network now. NBC has a sports network. TBS covers sports. Golf has its own channel. Like, you're not the only show in town.
ESPN was the wide world of sports.
Well, that's what they're the wide world of sports. What does wide world mean? All sports. All sports. And then you come out with ESPN Plus and charge your viewers more money.
Well, it's $5 a month.
But
it's
still.
a great deal. I like it.
But still, though.
They carry Italian League soccer on there. You can't even fucking find that anywhere.
Okay. But this is the thing. You're hurting your brand.
I agree. I think
end of story. You're hurting your brand. End of story.
I think they do cover football more than anything else. I would like for them to cover everything equally. But their defense is probably, but ESPN, radio, you can listen to the Rangers on the ESPN New York radio station.
But they don't cover hockey. So what? I can listen to the game on the radio.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they don't go in-depth stuff.
Other sports. The closest thing they don't have an NHL Tonight show. They don't have many hockey segments in their SportsCenter show. And the closest thing is Don LaGreca's podcast, Game Misconduct. If I really want to listen to hockey, I'll go to a podcast. I'll go listen to a Ranger podcast or an NHL podcast because that's where I want to get my hockey fix. I love some of the shows here, like Michael Kay and, Don LaGreca, and I could deal without Rosenberg. But Rosenberg as well because he's just there. I miss Ryan Rucco on that show. Yep. But Skippy, they used to call him, and Don LaGreca's rants. But even then, they're covering the Jets. They're covering the Jets, and they're covering football. I love Michael Kay. I can hear him talk about baseball all the time. But, I know that they're under the finger of ESPN, and ESPN has an agenda, and they want them to follow that agenda. But let's go to our pull factors now. What's your pull factor? I got a good one, but I want to hear what you guys.
All right, so mine is actually hockey related. It is the NHL celebrating Black History Month for the first time ever. And I think that's pretty amazing. It's weird and amazing at the same time. It's weird because hockey is considered one of the 4 major sports in the country, and yet this is the first time they're celebrating Black History Month. But when you think about it, there's really, like, hockey's not a black sport, right? Or not, I shouldn't say a black sport. It's not a sport that has a high amount of black players. But now they say there's roughly 20 black players in the whole league. 20 in the whole league. But I think it's amazing that they're celebrating Black History Month for the first time. I think it's really cool. So some quick facts about black hockey players. The first ever was a guy named Willie O'Ree. I hope that's how you say his name. And he was the first player ever, black player ever. And now you got guys today, some of the better players in the league. You got your boy, PK Subban.
Character. I love him.
Yeah. No, Evander Kane.
I hated him when he was on Montreal, though.
Yeah. Evander Kane, another good player. Wayne Simmons, good player. I mean, Jerome McGinley was a really good player for a very long time with the Flames. And a guy named Seth Jones, Blue Jackets. You know him.
Yes, I do.
Good player. Yeah?
Good player.
Okay.
Good defenseman.
Okay.
Young. Still young.
So, their whole message is that hockey's for all. And I think it's great. Hockey, yes, it's predominantly white, but there really isn't a reason why it shouldn't be. But when you think about it, where's hockey played? It's played in places that it's mostly populated by white people. So
Canada.
Yeah, Canada and
Russia.
and like fucking Northern European countries. But really cool how it's starting to kind of integrate more. I think it's good for them. They don't want to put off the message that they're not welcoming black players. You know, it's not that. That's not the case at all. It's just that it's not a lot of them that play. But I still like that they're celebrating the few that they have. I think it's really cool.
That is cool, and it's, you know, I mean, it's always nice, you know, in you know, with baseball, they always, you know, they have a Jackie Robinson Day for Jackie Robertson, and, you know, all these other things. But my pull factor is not covering the 4 major sports. It's covering the PBA, the Professional Bowlers Tour. And I love bowling. I watch bowling. And what's interesting now is that this week, starting on February 5th, they're having their Tournament of Champions. It's one of their bigger tournaments, and it's going to air on TV February 11th on Fox Sports. But that's not the story. The story is that PBA legend Carmen Silvino is bowling in the TOC. And what's so great about this guy? He's 85 years old. He's an 85-year-old PBA Hall of Famer, and he's competing in his 29th PBA Tournament of Champions. It's a record as the oldest player to compete in a PBA Tour event. Okay. He's a 17-time tour winner, and he is quoted in the article on the PBA website. He goes, "I'm in shape and ready to go. I'm working out and doing a lot of bowling to get ready. My weight hasn't changed in 63 years. I'm 195 pounds and haven't fluctuated 5 pounds on either side since." So he is a ambassador of this game. He's been in bowling for, you know, he was in the 1962 TOC, okay? And it's just shows you that everybody talks about age. You know what the great thing about bowling is? It doesn't matter how old you are. If you physically can walk and swing a ball, you can bowl. And
that guy's balls are definitely swinging.
Yeah, and you know what? And he's going against some of the youngest, you know, some of the youngest best bowlers of our generation right now. But it's just great to see that, you know, he's going to have a shot to make the TV show on Sunday. So that's my pull. So before we wrap things up here, is there anything that you want to talk about that, you know, non-sports related that you saw during this week?
This is super random. Italian grandma lives in her original house, right? She had Sunny D in her fridge. I haven't seen Sunny D in forever. The last person I think I would have thought to have it was my Italian grandma. So that was random as fuck.
You know, for me, it was just, I don't know. I mean, I really hadn't seen anything, to be honest. No, they were talking.
It wasn't a great.
No, nothing out of the mind. I shot 700 on Monday night.
Nice.
You know, except for those non-bowling fans, I don't know what 700 is. That is, in league, you bowl 3 games, and you take your 3 scores, add them together, that's your series. Okay, so I shot 700. So that's amazing. That's good. And if you shoot 700 and above, you know, you had a good night. And what's interesting is that I still haven't shot an 800 yet. I really want the 800. The 800, you get a ring. It's nice.
That's cool.
You know, I already have my 300 ring.
Yeah.
And I have 3 of them. Actually shot Mr. 300 maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. I shot 279. For those of you who don't know what 279 is, what the scoring is, I missed one spare. 1 strike. I shot 9 spare or 8 spare. So, you know,
pretty good.
But without further ado, thank you for listening. You know, we are building our brand right now, and we're trying to get everything under control. We're new to the podcast world, so we're going to put together a Patreon account. We're putting together private YouTube accounts where you're going to hear Cenz talk about his favorite sports and, mine, just one-on-one. Those will be shorter videos, obviously, but we'll talk about more stuff passionately instead of trying to be so thin and widespread. So without further ado, we hope to hear from you guys. Hit us up on Twitter. You guys know the handle. Look for our Instagram account because we're putting that together as well. You're going to see some videos up there as well of Cenz on his rant. And without that, without you guys, we're nothing. So without further ado, Cenz.
I've just got one question for you. Who do you think you are?
I am.
See ya. Go Rams.